What's up, everybody? We're here to go over UFC 302. Islam Makhachev taking on Dustin Poirier. Real quick, man. I'm sorry for the delay, and I'm not going to be doing a full breakdown on this card like I normally do. You know, my videos are like an hour long normally. I had to borrow my friend's laptop so I could do this, and just kind of really behind on things right now. I've got a lot of personal stuff going on. Me and my girlfriend split up that I've been with for like 4 years. It's a lot on my mind, man, and my laptop. Let's just say I don't have a laptop anymore after that, and yeah, I had a lot on my mind, man, and I wasn't gonna do this video at all for this card because I'm so far behind. I was just gonna skip it, but I mean, I had a lot of people asking me and reaching out to me, want to know what's going on. So, and I do appreciate you guys, man, because I didn't ask anybody for anything, and I had like some people send me money on my Cash App, trying to help me get a new laptop just because they read the comment and saw the comment that I was telling people like, hey, man, I don't have a laptop right now. I'm trying to figure this out. And there were some people that sent some money, so I'm really close to be able to get another one. Just got to put together a little bit more money, and hopefully I'll get that worked out and be back to normal here pretty soon. But what I'm going to do is go through this card really quick and give out my picks and the bets that I have. I don't have much on this card. I'm in a bad spot financially, like I said. Um, and then I'm going to immediately start working on the next card and get back on my early schedule like I was before. So I mean, hopefully that works for you guys, man. And I just today it's tough times right now for me, man. So uh, yeah. Anyway, man, let's get into this card, guys. And as far as the results for the last card, I had three bets, and they all should have hit. The one that didn't hit was because Perez Rodriguez got disqualified in her fight that she was dominating. So I mean, it should have been a clean sweep, but so I mean, that was a half unit play on Perez Rodriguez. That one cost me a little bit. I had a plus money play on Alateng Haley at plus 160. That was a quarter unit play. And then I had a two fight parlay that was Yanez and Magomedov that was a minus 107, and that was a 1 unit play. Either way, still won a little bit of money, but it should have been a clean sweep and it should have been more. But oh well, man, shit happens. So, um, and as far as yeah, man, let's just get in this card. First up, we got Andre Lima taking on Mitch Rapasso. And Lima is 25 years old. He is 5'7" with a 67.5-inch reach. He is 8-0 and 1-0 in the UFC. And I like a lot about Lima. Comes from a kickboxing background, really elite striking. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Hopefully he got his rabies shot after being bit in his last fight, man. I'm pretty sure he did. So nothing to worry about there. He was taken down a few times, but was back to his feet quickly in that fight. Has a decent ground game. Was tacking a lot of submissions off of his back. Great calf kicks. Great step-in elbows. He's young. He's going to be improving constantly. Great scrambles. 3-inch reach advantage. 2 inches of height. Rapasso's biggest, advantage in this fight may be his wrestling. If he can get Lima down and just keep working his wrestling, maybe he could, squeak out a decision here. But I'm not really sure he's going to be able to do that. Rapasso is 25 years old. He is 5'5" with a 64.5-inch reach. He is 9-1, and this is going to be his UFC debut. He's a plus 161 underdog. He's tried twice to get in the UFC before, lost on the Ultimate Fighter show, and then on the Contender Series to Jake Hadley. Since then, he's had 4 finishes in a row against bad competition. His best bet, like I said, will be to use his wrestling in this fight. He did show some of that on the Contender Series. Most of his wins have been finishes. He had a fairly competitive fight with Jake Hadley before he got submitted. He's not a bad fighter, honestly, and probably deserves to be here, but I'm going to be going with Lima to win this fight. I think he's going to look even better, than he did in his last fight, and I think he's probably going to be a little bit more prepared. He did look like a little bit tired in his last fight, but it was a crazy pace as well. So I think he's going to be more prepared. I think he's going to be, ready to go, and I think he's going to actually end up getting his first submission here. I think he's going to end up catching Rapasso in some sort of, choke or something like that when Rapasso is constantly trying to take him down. And next up, we got Jocelyn Edwards taking on Aline Perez. And Edwards is uh, 28 years old. She is 5'8" with a 70-inch reach. She is 13-5 and 4-3 in the UFC, and she's a plus 170 underdog. And y'all know I'm a big Edwards fan, man. I'd like to marry her one day, especially since she's got the hair, long again. I really like that. She's fought the tougher competition out of these two. If you go look at her Instagram, she's in the best shape of her life right now for this fight. And I think that's because these two don't like each other, man. They got into it before they got into a fight at the PI or something like that, something crazy. Um, and either way, like supposedly, like Perez's coaches jumped in or something. I don't know. I don't remember. I don't know the whole facts of the situation, but um, either way, man. Jocelyn Edwards has worked a lot on her wrestling and her takedown defense. Because that was her weaknesses earlier in her career. She's going to be the way bigger, longer fighter here. 4-inch reach advantage, good kickboxing, and she's really just been rounding out her game, man. And I'm not counting her out here at all. And Perez, I understand why everybody's going to be going with Perez. I do. She's looked pretty good, but shitty competition, as well. And she lost to Stephanie Egger in her debut. It's a bad loss to have. She does have good wrestling. I think that's what everybody expects her to use here. And my advice to you is to go ahead and pick Perez. I understand why she's the favorite and everything, but me personally, I'm going to be going with Edwards in at least one of my parlays. I think her experience and her size advantage might come into play here, but I definitely think probably the smart pick for everybody is Perez. Don't listen to me on this one because I'm picking Edwards solely based on probably because I'm a big fan of hers and but I do think Edwards is better than everybody gives her credit for, and she has a way of squeaking out decisions and stuff like that because she fights smart and whatever, and maybe she'll be able to pull it out again here. But I think the smart pick is Perez, but I'm going to put Edwards in one of my parlays, to win by decision. But most likely, I would say Perez probably gets takedowns and wins a decision herself. But like I said, I'm gonna throw some money at Edwards just in one parlay at least. Next up, we got Mickey Gall taking on Basil Hafez. Mickey Gall is 32 years old. He is 6'2" with a 74-inch reach. He is 7-5 and 6-5 in the UFC. He's a plus 240 underdog. I've never really been high on this guy at all. I think this one is pretty cut and dry, man. Mickey Gall hasn't really had any impressive wins in his career in the UFC. He hasn't fought in over 2 years after being knocked out by Mike Malott. And he may have a striking advantage here, but what this is going to come down to is how good his takedown defense is. And I don't think he's going to be able to stand up to the wrestling that Hafez brings to the table. And Hafez is 32 years old. He's 5'11 with a 72-inch reach. He is 8-4-1 and 0-1 in the UFC. So minus 300 favorite. Like I said, great wrestling. Made a great account of himself against Jack Della Maddalena in his debut on short notice. And I think he's going to dominate this fight for 3 rounds and either get a submission or win a decision. He's going to look better than ever trying to get his first win in the UFC. Mickey Gall's been around a long time, and I think it's Hafez's time here, man. Next up, we got Nico Price taking on Alex Morono. And Nico Price is 34 years old. He is 6 foot tall with a 76-inch reach. And he is a plus 190 underdog. He's 1-4 in his last 5 fights. He's been knocked out twice in a row now. Um, he's been knocked out quite a few times in the UFC, honestly. And he will have a 4-inch reach advantage, great cardio. He's decently well rounded, but I can't really go with the guy on the kind of run that he's on right now. It hasn't looked good recently. Who was his one win over Alex Oliveira, who's cut from the UFC. Um, if it does go late into the fight, Nico Price can come on late. He did that in the Michelle Pereira fight, and but I think Morono's probably got this fight in the bag. Alex Morono is 33 years old. He's 5'11 with a 72-inch reach. He is 24-9 and 13-6 in the UFC, and he's a minus 230 favorite. And even though I thought he looked like shit against Court McGee in his last fight, I felt like he should have dominated that fight a lot more than he did. I thought Court McGee could have won that fight. Honestly, it was a close fight, and the judges all gave it to Morono, but I was surprised. Um, I think he's got a good awkward style of striking, a great guillotine choke. Hasn't really had a lot of knockout wins in the UFC, so I'm going to take Morono to win by decision here. But maybe he could lock in a guillotine choke if Nico Price shoots on him or something like that. But um, yeah, I'm going to go with Morono, man. He's been more impressive lately. He hasn't been getting finished, so Just I don't think. I mean, I guess he did get knocked out by Ponzinibbio a year and a half ago, but he survived against Joaquin Buckley. Uh, he beat Tim Means, beat Court McGee. I'll go with Morono to win this fight by decision. Next up, we got Phil Rowe taking on Jake Matthews. Um, this is a tricky fight here, man. But Phil Rowe is. I think we haven't seen the best of Phil Rowe yet. And even though I mean Matthews has been around forever, but he's surprisingly younger than Phil Rowe. But Phil Rowe is 33 years old, 6'3" with an 80.5-inch reach. He is 10-4 and 3-2 in the UFC, and he's a plus 130 underdog. He's been competing in a lot of grappling tournaments lately. Kind of tightening up that part of his game. He's very tall. He's going to have an 8.5-inch reach advantage. If he keeps this fight on the feet, he has slick boxing and big power, and he absolutely has a good shot at winning this fight. He's made a lot of improvements, man, and he arguably should have won his last fight. I'm not sure that I agreed with that decision, but whatever. But I mean, and Jake Matthews, man, he's 29 years old, 5'11" with a 72-inch reach. He is 19-7 and 12-7 in the UFC. He's a minus 155 favorite. And looking back at his recent wins, I mean, they've been over terrible competition. I mean, Andre Fiallo has been knocked out like 5 times in a row now. Flowers never won a fight in the UFC. And so while Jake seems to have made a lot of improvements, I don't think, he hasn't really done anything with them. I mean, he survived a fight with Michael Morales last time out, but didn't, really get anything off in that fight at all. Didn't really have any moments. He got dropped by Matthew Simmelsberger in every round of that fight. Got submitted by Sean Brady. So, I mean, I guess I'm not really seeing why he's a favorite here. I think this fight should be more like a pick 'em, and I'm going to be going with Phil Rowe to win this fight. Um, wouldn't be surprised if Jake Matthews won. I mean, he's been around forever. He's experienced. He's good. Has all the skills. I just think he's going to have trouble getting around that big reach of Phil Rowe's and, getting anything off that way. So I'm going to go with Phil Rowe to win. I'm taking a win by decision just because Jake Matthews has only been knocked out like once in his career. But yeah, so. Next up, we got Grant Dawson taking on Joe Selecki. Grant Dawson is 30 years old. He's 5'10" with a 72-inch reach. He is 22-1 and 8-1-1 in the UFC, and he's a minus 350 favorite. And I can't stand Grant Dawson, man. He has good wrestling, and that's about it. Striking's terrible. He's taken on another high-level grappler here, so it is possible that if Joe Selecki can stuff the takedowns and work his own stuff, maybe he has a shot. I would rather see Joe Selecki win this fight, but I'm not sure his game plan works out very well against Dawson. But it's completely possible. I mean, they could cancel each other out and, wind up going at it on the feet, and maybe Dawson will get knocked out. That would be cool. But, yeah, Joe Selecki is 30 years old. He's 5'9" with a 70.5-inch reach, 13-4 and 5-2 in the UFC, and he's a plus 275 underdog. He's a great jiu-jitsu guy, great takedowns himself. It'll be interesting to see how good Dawson's takedown defense is for once, since Dawson hasn't really fought any legit grapplers. But I am going to be going with Dawson to win this fight, probably by a boring decision, but I hope Joe Selecki wins. There might be a reverse parlay that I put Joe Selecki in just for fun. Not that I can afford to be throwing away parlays like that right now, but next up we got Roman Kopylov taking on Cesar Almeida. And Roman Kopylov is 33 years old. He is 6 foot tall with a 75-inch reach. He is 12-3 and 4-3 in the UFC, and he's a minus 125 favorite. Kopylov has, he's fought in the way tougher competition. He's got a lot of knockouts on his record. He's more experienced in MMA, and I don't think Almeida's grappling will be good enough to take Kopylov down like Hernandez did. So this fight will probably play out on the feet. Could be a close fight. Almeida does have a kickboxing background. And I'm curious if Kopylov will look to use wrestling in this fight himself, possibly. He's going to have a 1-inch reach advantage. Kopylov's striking is pretty slick too, man. He has pretty high-level striking, so this could be a very competitive fight on the feet, or he could knock Almeida out, or Almeida might catch him. I don't know. But Cesar Almeida is 36 years old, 6'1" with a 74-inch reach. He is 5-0 and 1-0 in the UFC. He's a plus 110 underdog. And I just haven't seen enough of Almeida at a high level in MMA to pick him in this spot. He's only beaten relatively inexperienced fighters up to this point. If Kopylov was a huge favorite, like a minus 300, I probably would have taken the dog in Almeida for the value. But since the line's this close, I'll take Kopylov. He's the more experienced MMA fighter. I'll take him to get the win here. He usually wins by knockout, so I have to go by knockout round 2. Next up, we got Randy Brown taking on Oleksiejczuk dos Santos. And Randy Brown is 33 years old, coming up on 34, 6'3" with a 78-inch reach. He is 18-5 and 12-5 in the UFC, and he's a minus 170 favorite. Huge, big, tall welterweight, coming off a big knockout over old man Salikov. I don't hold a lot of stock in that win. Brown barely got by, beating Wellington Turman, and Jared Gooden was able to knock out Turman. So I mean, you would think Brown, being with all the hype on him that he has, would be able to do better than that. He does have great boxing, good at using his reach. He doesn't typically get a lot of finishes. He's gonna have a 5-inch reach advantage. Um, but I think that Zaleski is a very underrated fighter, man. He's 37 years old, 5'11" with a 73-inch reach. He's 24-7-1 and 10-3-1 in the UFC, and he's a plus 140 underdog. Very good everywhere, man. He's fought a lot of tough competition. Ended up getting a draw. He probably could have won that fight. His draw last time against Fakhretdinov, tough Russian guy, man, and he was able to go out there and put on a good performance, and it was a close fight, man, but he probably should have won that fight. And he was beating the crap out of Fakhretdinov in the 3rd round. So yeah, I think this guy's very underrated. He's very good. He thrives late in the fight. He's got good takedown defense. And Brown kind of does slow down in the 3rd round. So I don't think Brown's going to be knocking out Dos Santos here. And yeah, I'm going to go with the underdog, man. I'm going to take Zaleski dos Santos to either come on late and still the last 2 rounds, and win a decision, or land something crazy and get a knockout here. So I'm gonna go with the underdog, man. I like him. He's really impressed me, dude. Watching the tape on him and his career and some of the stuff he's done. I mean, the way he beat the crap out of Benoit Saint Denis, in Saint Denis's debut. He's got a lot of impressive stuff, man. He's done a lot of good things, man. And he does have a lot of success against Russians too, which is, I know Randy Brown's not Russian, but when most guys are losing, Dos Santos has been winning. So next up, we got Jalton Almeida taking on Alexander Romanov. Jalton Almeida is 32 years old. He is 6'3" with a 79-inch reach. He is 20-3 and sorry, 20-3 and 6-1 in the UFC. He's a minus 260 favorite. Kind of keeping it short and sweet on this one. We've seen that Romanov has been exposed. He does not have good cardio. The only reason that he was able to win his last fight is because he was fighting a guy that should have retired a long time ago. Yeah, Almeida has great cardio. Romanov doesn't. Almeida's way faster and better everywhere. Pretty much, I think he wins this fight by submission, round 2, rear naked choke. I think he's either gonna he's going to end up getting Romanov down. Romanov's cardio is terrible. So, I mean, I think Almeida will have his way with Romanov on the ground pretty much and ended up getting a submission. And if he doesn't, he's going to be way faster and on the feet too. So, I mean, I just don't see Romanov winning this fight. And then next up, we got Kevin Holland taking on Michael Oleksiejczuk. Kevin Holland is 31 years old. He is 6'3" with an 81-inch reach. 25-11 and 12-8 in the UFC, and he's a minus 250 favorite. And 7-inch reach advantage. Holland could definitely outgrapple this guy if he wanted, as well as knock him out. Kevin Holland could be a bit unreliable at times. This is a big step down in competition for him, in my opinion. I think he's definitely probably going to win this fight, man. And even though Oleksiejczuk's a really tough guy, he's definitely got some holes in his game. He's been submitted twice recently, and Kevin doesn't typically fight that way, but I think Holland's going to be able to use his reach, avoid the big shots, and steal the rounds by hurting Oleksiejczuk and win a decision or possibly get a knockout. So next up, we got Sean Strickland taking on Paulo Costa. Sean is 28-6, 33 years old, 6'1" with a 76-inch reach, and he is 15-6 in the UFC, and he's a minus 220 favorite. Sean should still arguably have the belt. He's done more and looked more impressive than Costa has, and he's been way more active. He has the better boxing, and he's got a 4-inch reach advantage. Um, Paulo Costa is 33 years old, 6'1" with a 72-inch reach, and he is 14-3 and 6-3 in the UFC, and he's a plus 180 underdog. Hasn't looked good aside from the big power advantage. He doesn't really have much going on, and for him in this fight, scary guy to bet against though for sure. But I do think Sean's going to outvolume him and win a decision here. And I think especially after the first round, Sean's definitely going to take over and really put a beating on Costa. Next up, we got the main event: Islam Makhachev taking on Dustin Poirier. Um, Islam Makhachev is 32 years old. He is 5'10" with a 7.5-inch reach, 25-1, and 14-1 in the UFC. He's a minus 650 favorite, and he's taking on Dustin Poirier. He is 35 years old. He's 5'9" with a 73-inch reach, 30-8 and 22-7 in the UFC. He's a plus 450 underdog. We all want Dustin to win this fight, man. He's the better striker for sure. But I do think Islam's probably going to win with his wrestling. But the line's so out of hand that I would say if you're going to bet on this fight, just put a little something on Dustin. Maybe $100 or something. Just because there's no value on Makhachev at this point. In this fight, and I'm probably just going to have an underdog parlay. With Dustin in it, and like 3 underdogs on this card. I'll tell you in a second. But yeah, I think most likely Makhachev wins. I think everybody probably agrees with me, but I want to see Dustin Poirier win. I think we all do. I hope he wins. But yeah, that's it for the picks, guys. As far as my bets go, like I said, I'm just kind of running through this quickly, and so I have a 2-fight parlay that's Basil Hafez and Jalton Almeida. It's minus 115. That's a 1-unit play. I got a 2-fight parlay with Strickland and Kopylov. That's a plus 162, and that's just a small quarter-unit play. And then I made an underdog parlay that is Poirier, Phil Rowe, and Oleksiejczuk dos Santos, and that's a plus 2,936. And as far as my parlays go, guys, I'll post those in the community tab and on my social medias because I don't have them ready right now. But yeah, man, like I said, it's been real tough for me here lately, guys, and I appreciate your patience and stuff. And I may not have a lot of subscribers, but I definitely have the best ones out of everybody because it meant a lot to me when I look down at my Cash App and there's people I don't know that sent me some money to try and help me get a laptop. That means a lot to me. I know most people that do these channels don't get too personal. I don't give a shit. I want y'all to know me. I want you to know about me. And yeah, man. So it's if you really do want to help me out, my Cash App and my my PayPal is on my info on my YouTube channel. And it's much appreciated. But and also, and if you don't want to do that, man, you can help me out by using my link in the description below and signing up at Bet Us, and then make the minimum deposit, and then make you a parlay with it or whatever you want to do, and that'll, because I only get paid if for people that sign up. So I've been advertising for Bet Us for a month, and I haven't made a penny doing it. I just get paid $100 for every person that signs up and makes a deposit. So, don't know how long I'm going to keep doing that, but I can always hope, man. It's my best hope of making money, at doing this, which is my dream. So, but yeah, man, I really appreciate all you guys. Thank you so much for caring what I have to say and for checking on me and understanding. And yeah, man, it's just tough. So, but yeah, financially, it's a drain, man. And to give you a little perspective, I used to have I kept like 8 to 10 grand in my betting accounts, and I've gotten down to where I'm like pretty much all my money, is almost gone. I've got like maybe $1,500 on there, and it was kind of the point the other day where I'm like, well, I could pull the last of my money off and get a laptop, or I couldn't bring myself to do it, so uh I'll figure it out, man. I'll be all right and whatever. I'm not gonna do what I used to do and go off and use whenever stuff goes wrong and throw all my progress away that I've made. So don't worry about that. Um, so yeah, man, I appreciate all you guys and thank you, man. And please like and subscribe, man. It'll help me out a lot. I was supposed to do this at the beginning of the video, but I just came in here kind of completely unprepared and just because I had a laptop available, I was like, I got to jump on here and do this, man. So yeah, please like and subscribe, guys. It'll help me out a lot. Uh, I'm available on Spotify, iTunes, all that stuff. If you're not interested in watching my videos, you just want to see my picks and my bets, you can go to my social medias. High Kick underscore Fight Picks is Instagram and TikTok, and then there's a Facebook group, High Kick Fight Picks on Facebook. Um, easy to find, and feel free to post all your stuff, your bets, anything you want in that group, anything MMA related. I want to see everybody's stuff, and I want to get to know you guys better too. So, I think that's it for me, guys. I'm sorry. I'll get back and do my full breakdown and my good video like I always do on the next one. I'm gonna catch up and get back on schedule, after this video. So thank you guys so much, man. I'll talk to you later, man.